here from theoshade.com, and I am a vegan, if you haven't already noticed that or got that from some of the other YouTubers. But if it's your first time on here, then welcome, and hopefully you'll get a little bit of information from what I'm about to say. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about health, and but not so much just not so much what to eat for good health, etc., but just sort of health overall. So, quite possibly if you're wanting to go plant-based, or if you are already vegan, there's times when you perhaps have trouble with connecting with your doctor. I remember one time I always try to go and get my blood check done, sort of like once a year, just to make sure that I have got everything that I need. And I went to a doctor quite a few years ago now, and the very first thing he said to me was he was sorry, he really didn't know anything about being vegan, and in fact, very little about even being vegetarian. But his question to me was, where do you get your calcium from? Which I was actually quite surprised about, because normally they ask, where do you get your protein? But not this time. This guy knew where we got protein from, but didn't know about the calcium side of it. So because I didn't know what my calcium count was going to be in my blood test, I kind of was thrown a little bit. So I just looked at him and said, food. And he kind of didn't really get it at all, because that's where you do get your calcium. You get your calcium from all your plant foods. Now, some have more calcium than others, obviously. So like nuts, soy, all that sort of stuff, have way more quantities of calcium than other things. But you get all your vitamins and your proteins from all of the plant foods that you're eating. And this is why I continue to say, have a very balanced diet, eat the rainbow, have lots and lots of colour, and have lots of try different foods and that sort of thing. So, and make sure that the proteins you are having are good proteins, like quinoa, lentils, chickpeas, those sorts of things as well. They will help to bulk you up too, stop you being hungry. Make sure the fats you're having are good fats, so don't have too many nuts. But things like avocados, beautiful, beautiful food, has protein in it too, so, go figure. So, it's very interesting. Now, the problem is that doctors, as we know them, I'm very fortunate now. I actually have a vegan doctor, which is wonderful. So she's right into nutrition, and tries to heal plant-based first, which is really cool. But the doctors have, you've got to remember that they are incredibly busy. They do not have a lot of time to go into the research that is being done, and so they're actually not up with it. And so nutrition is just not there. They're not even taught it at schools. They go to the school 5 years, just to be a basic GP, and they don't have any nutrition taught to them at all. So they may have a week. I did speak to one doctor one time, and he was saying to me, well, we had a week, but we didn't have to go actually attend the class. If we did, we got points for attending the class, but most of us just fell asleep. So there's no big huge thing about eating, about the nutrition, and how nutrition can actually reverse disease and can stop disease. Now, they've known this since the 1920s. They've known about plant-based eating and how great it is, and how it's fabulous for your health. But you see, where it comes a cropper is that, of course, it's the pharmaceutical companies who are supporting the schools, and so they're teaching the drug way. And the pharmaceutical companies, of course, they're supporting the doctors, and the doctors actually rely on the pharmaceutical companies to tell them what's coming up, what is new, what the research has been saying, etc. And of course, they're going to skew it towards drugs. So, that's one of the downsides to it. Back in 1990, a guy called Dr. Dean Ornish, he, because back then heart disease was a big killer as well as what it is now. And he wanted to know, can lifestyle changes reverse coronary heart disease? And he actually researched it, and he wrote in the Lancet, which is a prestigious, internationally known medical journal, his findings. And he said, total proof that we can reverse heart disease, open up arteries without drugs, without surgery, just with a healthy plant-based diet and other healthy lifestyle changes. Now, this was 1990. They put it in the journal, and it was published. It was researched, etc., etc., but it was totally ignored. They didn't want to know about it because, as I said, the pharmaceutical companies are running the whole health thing. So they didn't want people to know that food is going to help you. There's no money in that. So it was totally ignored. But now you've got the internet, and now you can research this stuff yourself, and you can find out. There is people like Dr. T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, famous research that they did, which was called the China study. Amazing, and amazing if you can, Google it and just have a read, a little bit of a read. But they also have a documentary called Forks Over Knives, and I continue to really, support that particular documentary. It is amazing. It is an amazing documentary. You've got people like Dr. Michael Greger, amazing guy. He's a doctor, just like other doctors, but he actually researches the research. So he does all the reading up, and then he puts it into words that we will understand. So I will leave a link below for his website, which is nutritionfacts.org, and everything on there is free. You just can go in there and check it out yourself. So you no longer have to rely on your own doctor. And this is the kind of the sad part, because people with, say, like high blood pressure, they trot along to their doctor and they get their blood pressure taken, and it's just, let's tweak your medicine a little bit, and here's a prescription, and have some more drugs. And the pharmaceutical companies are loving that, of course. So, but it's exactly the same as what happened with the tobacco industry. They knew about that back in the 20s and 30s, that it caused cancer, but they didn't do anything about it. And it took ages before they finally, even just the Surgeon General came on board and stuck the warning on the labels on the cigarettes. Here in New Zealand, we're wanting to go completely smoke-free, the whole country. I think the date was 2025, I'm not sure. I mean, hopefully it will work. Who knows? It may or may not. But the point is that it was pressure, and it's pressure by people. In this case, I mean, in the 50s, I can remember as a kiddie going into the surgery and the doctor sitting there smoking a cigarette, right? It was the thing to do. It was the thing to do. So the food now, this is the new trend, and I have heard, like, even just this year, and it's only February 2017. Already there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of people talking about vegan, plant-based foods, that sort of thing, and getting on that for health, more for health than anything else. And of course, there's a complete and absolute wonderful bonus, is that for the animals and for our environment as well, if you can jump on board the vegan wagon. So we no longer have to rely on the doctor prescribing or giving you things. If you want to go on a plant-based diet, and you truck along to your doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh no, you need to have dairy for your calcium, and you definitely need to have meat for your protein," then, send them off to watch Forks Over Knives, or send them off to Dr. Michael Greger's, website and say, hey, go look at this. This guy here has read all the research. I understand that you don't have time to read the research, but this is research that is actually published in medical journals. This is research that's published. It's done. And, so we need to get more and more doctors on board for this. Sadly, it all starts in the schools, because most people, when they, most kids, when they're wanting to get into medicine, most of them it is because they want to help people. Yeah, there's some that go in because they think it's got the money in it. There's others that go in because they think that it's the thing to do, or dad did it, or whatever. But a lot go in because it's in their heart and they want to help people. So they get to school and they have 5 years, and as I said, there is nothing on it. It is because it is supported by the pharmaceutical companies, and they are really sort of doing about the drugs. One doctor I spoke to recently said that the latest thing with the medical schools is that their real main focus is on heart and surgery and doing heart disease, and so it's the drugs for heart disease, because heart disease is the #1 killer. Plant-based diet can totally reverse heart disease, and if you don't believe me, go look at at the research that's been done. It actually can happen. If you have clogged arteries, it can actually open up those arteries. It can do a lot of things. So, and there's also evidence to say that it's reversing diabetes. They're now looking into evidence of it reversing cancer. Also, it's not carcinogenic, put it that way. Now, I think what I'd like to leave you with, a couple of thoughts, is that when you hear about something being researched by pharmaceutical companies, new drugs being researched, just be careful about donating money, because I want you to understand that pharmaceutical companies spend more on promotion than they do on research and development. And that is, and promotions can be anything from, just look at your television set and see how many drugs are sort of out there on being advertised. Look at all the different advertising that is done for the drugs, and also too, the conferences that they hold for doctors. These can be in quite some beautiful exotic places, but yeah, it's more is spent on promotion than in research and development. And in this day and age, how long has pink ribbon been going on for? How long have we had breast cancer, and how long have they been researching to get that right? And women are still dying. Women are still being led down the chemotherapy and radiation path for that, and for ovarian cancer. So it's like, think about it. Sure, I always support anything that is a hospice, or a facility that is looking after parents while their children are in hospital, things like that. Definitely support those sort of things. But when it comes to actual raising money for research for cancer or for whatever, I just don't go there. It's the pharmaceutical companies make enough money not to have to actually ask us for it. So yeah, that's one little thought. Oh, and guess who's on board with the vegan thing is Dr. Oz. Now, I don't really know Dr. Oz that well. I think I have stumbled across his program one time when I was sick in bed and I had the TV going. But yeah, he's a daytime doctor. Is he even a doctor? I don't know. So, but anyway, he's got a huge following and people listen to what he says. That is really cool. Last year, he brought out a weight loss program, or 21-day weight loss program that was all plant-based. And I don't know whether it was from that he realised that, hey, these people after 21 days, their health improved. I don't know. But now he's jumped on the vegan wagon, and he is saying that the new trend of 2017 is vegan. So that's really cool. That's really, really cool. But I want you to know that it has to be a healthy vegan. Okay, so there's being vegan. I mean, there are some really unhealthy vegans, trust me. So you need to be a healthy vegan, and you need to know that you must eat the rainbow, right? Lots and lots of colour on your plate. The more colour you've got and the more you can mix it up, the better. Make sure that you have, good protein source, and there's heaps of it out there. Make sure, your dark leafy vegetables are really, really awesome for iron, things like that. Mix it up with herbs, mix it all up with spices. I mean, these are the medicinal things, you might say, of life, and they also, are beautiful seasonings. So, yeah, go rock it. It's amazing, and your health will improve if you do it properly. Okay, so on that note, I will say bye-bye and have great food, eat the rainbow, and show compassion for all animals, including humans. So bye for now.